Hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a look at the Arturia KeyStep Pro and some of the extremely cool stuff you can do with it, right? So I am going to be concentrating on 3 projects. This is project 1, and I have project 2 and then project 3. Project 1 is here now, ready to start, and it uses 4 Nambus and no drums. And if I scroll along here, you will see I have this USB 2. This is the output for the metronome. So if I want to record with the KeyStep and not use drums, I can use the metronome, but I'll get into that in the tutorial. So this isn't going to be a deep dive tutorial. I am going to do one within the next few days to show you how you can set up all this cool stuff, but also the crazy cool randomization and functionality of the KeyStep Pro you can do just to enhance your performances. Basically, you have 4 tracks, okay? Those 4 tracks can each hold up to 16 patterns. Then those patterns can be arranged in any order you like and spread over up to 16 scenes. So in this particular one, you'll see that I have 9 scenes and I am starting on scene 9. Okay, so here we go. And this would be Nambu here. So let me just do this. This would be this Nambu. So I'm going to close the microphone and I'm going to play the project, okay? Then we'll move on to project 2 and then project 3. And then by the end, you'll get an idea of how blinking creative and inspiring working with the KeyStep is. I mean, it's absolutely bloody brilliant. I love it. So I'll turn my microphone down and crack on with this, eh? And you'll get the idea of how I change stuff up. Now I can choose a scene just by doing this. But I can change scenes so they play automatically, and I can also change patterns. But I'll get into that in the tutorial as well. There we go. Keep an eye on the change in patterns. Each scene remembers everything you do, including mutes, pattern changes, speed. So for example, on this particular one here, all other 3 are muted and we're just hearing this Nambu. But then I could say, well, I'm going to mess this up a bit. So I'm going to hold shift and choose a different time division. Slow it down. Go back to normal. But I've also got all these controls underneath these strips here that are all in blue. And if I hold shift, I can activate any of those. So random order. Octave up. I can also hold any step and use randomness, time, shift, velocity, gate and pitch. And then anytime I mess everything up completely, I can just return to the state by hitting shift and save, and underneath it says reload. you can completely mess up your pattern. And then end it where it began. Right, okay, so on what is happening here is the iPad is sending its clock speed to the KeyStep Pro. So you'll see I have a project tempo of 90, well, maybe you can't see it, but it's 90 BPM, and you'll see that on AUM is 90 BPM. If I change this clock speed now to say, I don't know, let's go to 100 BPM. As soon as you'll see it's still on 90, but as soon as I hit play, you'll see that this will catch up. And now this is now 100 BPM as well. Awesome stuff. Right, let's move on to the, oh yeah, let me first of all show you how you connect that. So when you plug in your KeyStep via your USB, simple connection to the iPad via USB, I'm going into a powered hub. All you need to do is you open your metronome settings here. You click on these three little dots and you'll see MIDI clock send, and make sure it's enabled, and then choose where you want to send your MIDI clock to. And I've chosen the KeyStep Pro. And then in the KeyStep Pro's menu, you go to MIDI settings and sync, and then choose USB, and then it's a done deal. So you can't control the tempo with this anymore. So messing around with the tempo controller here won't do anything at all, but all your tempo will be controlled by this and your sync options as well. So all I need to do is hit play on AUM, and once play is running on AUM, I can use this transport to stop and start it. If this is stopped, sorry, nothing to record there, Doug. If this is stopped, you can't start the KeyStep. You have to do it from AUM. Okay, so let's move on to project 2. I'll just open this up here, go to files, and look for KSP project 2, which I just call Piano and Gadget. Sorry, Piano and Gadget. It just swapped over while I loaded everything back up. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into project, select project 2, and then hit load project. Okay, and now it's loaded my second project. See, here's the idea. I called the sessions in AUM the same as this. So this is project 2. So obviously I call this project 2 and then just give it some extra name. So it's a reference for what you know. But if you do that, you're golden, and you can have 16 projects stored and ready to go. So you could literally do a whole album and definitely a whole live performance with this. So let's listen to the second project, shall we? I'll make sure that I am on scene 1 here and get going. So with this one, with this particular track, track 4, you'll see that you'll watch here, these lights will track along, but they'll be running at twice the speed, because if I hold shift, you'll see the track 4 is set at 1/8. Okay, so you lose resolution in what you can play, but you gain an extra, well, you're literally doubling the length. So instead of it being 4 bars, let me solo that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So basically that's just 16 bars long. So if I was to say, well, okay, it's obviously still all going to fit. Now you can do tons of cool stuff just by editing certain notes, but I've got like on this, it's like it's like a 16 bar sequence, but you can choose any note you like in any of these sequences and make individual adjustments per note to the pitch, the gate, the velocity, the keys. But say, for example, I wanted to affect the velocity of the whole thing. All I'd need to do then is hold. I'm going to get more into this with the proper tutorial I'm going to do. But you hold shift and then you play with the velocity. So, for example, playing this, if I hold shift, turn velocity down, or up. Gate. And you get a display of what's going on here. And velocity is remembered per track or per note. So we've got the drums. Let's mess with the drums. Let's mess with the bass, no, the piano. Reset that. Set the drums. Awesome. Now you have up to 16 scenes. You can copy any scene you like and stick it anywhere you want, and then make further adjustments. Saving projects and saving scenes and stuff like it's super easy. There's a save button here. You hit save, whether you want to save the pattern or something, or you want to save the scene, we're on scene 2, save that. You want to save the entire project, save and project, and just hit this, and everything is saved and everything is remembered. So let's finish with project 3. I'm gonna load it in here. I'll shut my gob as well while it's loading this time. So here we go, KSP project 3. Okay, so now you'll see on this one I have an FAC drum kit, which is kind of a custom drum kit I'm working on. So I've just selected different sounds and stuff. A Zeeon, is it Continua? Yeah, Continua, and a Tal Uno LX. Right, so I'm going to swap my projects now. Don't forget to swap your project, or all these sounds will play with this project because it's MIDI. So project 3, load project, scene 1. I'm going to start with scene 1. So this is how scene 1 sounds. Let me start it off. So I'll mess with the scene first, and then I'll talk a little bit about it as well. it's just awesome. It's just super inspirational. Now, another cool thing you can do, as long as you're using polysynths, of course, and if you've got a polysynth that can use splits and layers, you could have different sounds on different parts of the keyboards, or if you're using samplers, you can fire off different sounds on different notes of the keyboards. It works like any MIDI controller, except that you can record all this cool stuff in. But you can also jam over the top of stuff. So, like, for example, if we look at this continua kind of, I could go to, say, track 4. Get the idea. And if they're muted, right, because some of these will have patterns that'll bear no relationship to what's going on. So, like, if you've only done one pattern for something, you want to save it, but you can mute it so it's not playing. But you can still jam with it. Guys, if you've watched this via Premiere, thank you very, very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. One of the best, absolute best MIDI controllers. I can't even think of a MIDI controller that's actually better than this, or that I would prefer. And if, like I said, I wanted to use bigger keyboards, I'd just plug a bigger keyboard into it. But I have no problem with these keys, like aftertouch, all the rest of it, velocity sensitive. Now, there is an update for the KeyStep Pro that I haven't put in yet, but it came out, I don't know, maybe, well, a while ago, 6-7 months, possibly even more ago. But I haven't updated this yet because it's really not something I would use, and it's quality of life stuff for some things. But it uses, you can latch the transpose, but I prefer this version of transposing. Let me just clear these transpositions. Right, so if I want to transpose this track, let me just unmute this and mute all the other stuff. So if I want to mute the other things as well, is you can now have fixed velocity, and also you can send program changes per pattern change. Again, that's not something I'd be that interested in doing, but right, okay, so quick look at transposing. Oh, by the way, if you have watched this video Premiere, you can start saying ta-ra to each other now. I'm just messing around now. I'm going to do a full tutorial because I think when I first got it, I did a couple of tutorials, but I didn't go into super detail. There is so much stuff you can do with the scales, the time divisions, the octaves, the arpeggiator, the sequencer, the drum mode, poly and mono. So, for instance, in drums, if you hold shift, I'm in mono. But if I was to go into poly mode, that means I could set up polyrhythmic sequences for each of the individual drum hits. Really, that needs a tutorial on its own, but you know, Yeah, it's so blinking cool. But look, transpose. If I hold transpose, what it does now is you can set it so it'll latch to transpose, so you don't have to keep holding this, but you lose the ability to just unlock it and it come back to normal. So for instance, now it's this, so let's play it. Let's slow it down a little bit. If I hold transpose now, but you can see where you are. So it'll say where your root is. Okay. If I wanted to transpose, say, both of those at the same time, all I need to do is hold transpose, and you see that's flashing, and then hit this one as well so that they're both lit. So this will be lit. It's only lit because this is the selected. It's only flashing because that's the selected track. But you'll see now they're both lit up for transpose. So we can. They'll both transpose now. Awesome. And then if I want them, like, look, what I like about this is I can now just hit this and it goes back to normal. If I hit it again, it goes back to my last transpose point, and then clear them out. And then if I don't want them to transpose, of course, I can just unselect it. I'm going to go back to project number 2, play around with that for a few minutes while you guys say ta-ra to each other. Right, yo, hang on a minute. Files. Where are we? Project. Let me get my mouse so you can see. Project number 2. Okay, and don't forget you have to change your project back to the project you want. And this is the genius. It's all turned up. Turn it back on. Plug AUM in or whatever you're using, you know, and away you go. Right, yo, guys, ta-ra. Thank you so much for watching. What scene am I on? I'll start on scene 1. Okay.